All right, in this video, this tutorial will be about um, the combined features or compounds. So just do a basic object, which will be our, I'm going to make two of them actually. One's going to be our contour cut, and then I'll oversize this, which you can do outline. We'll do that for practicing for this print and cut. We're going to do a 0.125 bleed with a fill background and separate the effect and take the stroke off. All right, so now we've got a compound object, or it's an object, but it's not a shape anymore. I could convert it to shape, but for right now, we'll just leave that. And I'm going to take another shape tool. This, so I have something quick. Is an arrow, and if you hold the Shift key, it actually constrains its angle, its rotation. And so let's take a different color. So this is what we do mostly in our graphic kits, is have our foreground objects, and then we have our background. Our background is going to capture all our foreground objects into the containing shape so that we don't have a bunch of objects outside the contour cut. So the most rudimentary portion of this is just to center it, or whatever you got to do if it's in its position, and then we'll hold the Shift key with the foreground and background objects together and do a fuse or a Control Alt F. All right, so it's the most basic of how we contain the foreground objects. Now I'm going to go a little more complex here, and I'll introduce a second object. I'll actually introduce multiple objects. And let's see, let's do 4 arrows. How about that? And I want that to be something like this. Maybe bring this guy in, and then I'm going to do an alignment so they're all centered, and then a distribution so they're all evenly distributed. And then just for the heck of it, so we can see them, I'll take this color mixer tool, which is up here, I think. There it is right there. And I'll just go, let's say 90%, and then we'll go to 80%, and then we'll go to 70%. So I get this nice little gradation. Oops. There we go. And that didn't go to 80. Why did that not? There we go. And then, so in order to, you have all these foreground objects. In order for them to be trapped or contained by the background object, you must group them first. So Control G. And then the same operations. It doesn't matter which order you touch, whether it's the foreground, background, or background, foreground, as long as you're holding the Shift key down, it doesn't matter. And then you do the fuse or Control Alt F. So there's that. Now, the alternative for containing the artwork or foreground artwork to the background artwork is to do a mask. So let me go ahead and duplicate this, and I'm going to remove the effect or clear the effect. That was Control Shift D. And so I can take the background object and duplicate it and then center it. And then this will be my mask. I hold the mask object with the foreground object and Alt M for mask or arrange mask. Now the contour cut is going to be, that's interesting actually. Not sure why it did that. Normally it would be on the contour cut would be hidden between it. All right, so the pros and cons. The pros and cons of doing one or the other. The mask, I can tell you, has the more cons to it. There's only a few situations where you're going to want to use a mask to contain the foreground artwork. And that is if it is a bitmap. So for instance, let me grab this, copy that image, bring it in, paste. If I wanted that object to be contained by a mask, so I'll just duplicate this over here, and unmask it, or Alt M or Alt U. And so I have two objects here. One's my masking object, one is my background object. And I will put this, let's say, I'll go to wireframe mode. Kind of see what I'm doing. Let's say I just wanted to focus on the wheel. All right. So I'll go back to Control F to go back to fill mode. And I'll center my masking object over. And then as long as it's on the foreground above the to be masked object, go ahead and mask it. And then send back my background, and there we go. So in this case, you didn't necessarily need the background object because it's a bitmap, but if you wanted to do something such as, well, yes, sorry, I should have told you to explain. If you, on the fill and stroke editor, you see the blend mode. It's not available without it being grouped first. It's a weird feature, I'm not sure why, but you can see that's the original masked picture. But if you hit group, then the blend mode comes available. So we'll go ahead and do something like multiply. So now you can see where it makes sense to have that background object in place. So that's one situation where you would use a mask over a fuse because you cannot fuse a bitmap. The next one would be something like if, for instance, I'll try and do this quickly. Send this up here, take this one here, and I'm gonna say this is a mask, unmask it, and I'm gonna pull away the, oh, here's a reason too, that you have to have that second mask tool, so you end up with, you know, extra objects that would not normally be necessary, and you have to contend with them. Either you keep duplicating it when you need it, or you put it off to the side and hope to remember that's the right one. So again, masks can be complex. So here's another situation where I would not use a mask, and that is, let's see, let's make this like 100. And then let's, in addition to that, let's do another 100 at an angle, like so. Let's see, let's do like 80. I'm sorry, or I wouldn't do a fuse. So if you look at this, now this is fine as it is if it's within Flexi, because these are dynamic effects. But as soon as I clear the effect or separate the effect, now I'm left with all this geometry. And to do a fuse, let's see, I'm going to hopefully not crash, but I'm going to try to do a fuse and see what happens. Let's see, it's taken some time. And it may crash the program. We're going to wait, we're going to wait, we're going to wait. There's a potential that there's a potential to actually work, but there's also potential that it's going to screw up, and there's to be some holes that were unintended, which kind of yeah, ruins the whole purpose of doing the fuse in the first place. So it's a lot of math going on right now. I probably should have tried something less complex, but anyhow, there's a chance that we're going to have to kill the program if it doesn't respond. And all right, we're going to kill it. Yeah. So prime reason not to use the, let's see if we can kill the actual task that's running compounds. Nope. All right, go back to here. All right, see if I can quickly go back to what we're doing. So let's see if I can paste anything. Nope, just that. So the arrows.